This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 473 for the week of Monday, June 12th, 2017. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And on today's show, we have very special guest translator for One Piece in Weekly Shonen Jump. We have Stephen Paul with us. How is it going, Stephen?
Hey, what's up? I'm doing pretty good.
Good. We have Twitter sensation with us. Once again, 2 weeks in a row, we have Casey, also known as Minovsky Article. How's it going?
Hey, yeah, back at you.
That doesn't really make sense in that context, but sure. We also have...
I did not.
We also have Eisner Award nominated author for Merman. All volumes now on sale. We have Joey Weiser with us. How's it going, Joey?
Hey, good. I wanted to mention up front here, real quick, that as mentioned last week, I was on a radio show hosted by a listener of ours, Terrace, who I think goes by Sun Pirate or something like that online, called the Savannah Business Showcase. And we talked about Merman and the business of being a cartoonist and stuff, and we even mentioned the One Piece podcast a couple times.
Yes. I always listen to anything that mentions us, so it's perfect. No, please listen to that. We also have, finally, our editorial writer, Jill. How's it going, Jill?
Hi, Zach. Back at you.
Oh, God. I hate all of you. So...
Thank you, Jill.
We have another great episode for you guys. This week, we have a really crazy chapter for you. Chapter 868, KX Launcher. It's just like what the title sounds like. We also have the latest One Piece anime episode from Whole Cake Island, which introduces our favorite character, who is a big fan of apple juice. I will also be on for that. Ed?
And also the best and cutest rabbit in all of One Piece.
Whoa. Sam is going to have he's not going to like that.
Ed is dead.
Sam hasn't risen to the bait yet, and I'm kind of proud of him.
He will at one point. You know it's going to happen. So we have
Rise above, Sam.
So we have Sam hosting that segment for us a little bit later. Of course, we also have Piece Together. But without further ado, why don't we get straight into the show? Are you guys ready?
Yes.
You too.
Back at you.
I hate all of you. This is the manga recap for chapter 868, KX Launcher. And let's continue the exposition that Cavendish was going through on the front page here. Ed.
I just want to say we should, do auditions to say this in, a Japanese commercial voice. It's KX Launcher! It's like a child's toy or something, like from Nerf.
I would buy it. I would immediately... Yeah. I mean, it would fail, just like a Nerf gun. But, yeah...
But anyway, we're back with Cavendish. It's limited cover series number 23, the saga of the self-proclaimed Straw Hat Fleet, volume 5, Cavendish. And that's why we shouldn't open fire, because they're not enemy ships. That was a long explanation.
Suleiman has to have...
It took an entire month for him to explain that story.
I assume Suleiman has a deep Russian accent. Is that just me?
I don't know.
I'm trying to get Ed to do a deep Russian accent.
It was a long explanation.
Thank you. That's all I wanted.
Why always use Boris? Anyway. But yeah, so it's the Marry Me Pirates and the We Love Cavendish Pirates.
I guess they're technically pirates. One has a skull and crossbones.
Yeah, it's got a Jolly Roger.
One has a very... what kind of cat would you call that in front? And the other one has a chick, a bird.
It looks like Robin drew him.
The pussy.
Yeah.
Pussy ship.
Thank you, Jill. Jill is here to bring us up to the PG rating. We've always striven for it.
And if you look closely, you can see Cavendish is wearing pants with stars on them.
Oh, I mean, of course it is. This isn't...
The other one is the chick ship.
The chick ship.
This is Cowboys warm-up pants.
Yeah.
What would you call the two ships, Jill?
The pussy
Pussy wagon.
Oh boy. Yeah.
I had to make Jill.
All right, we've already broken Jill. It's not even 2 minutes.
And I guess the chicks would be the other one.
Yeah, the chicks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Chicks, man.
That's like this. Hang this up in a museum titled "Chicks, Man."
Okay. Anything else about this first page?
No.
Do you think we're moving on to a new cover story next week? Like, when I say new cover story, I mean one of the other Straw Hat Fleet.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
next week it'll be there are women on this ship.
How did
You
this
know-
happen?
If all of these are like 5-week setups for a gag ending, I'm all for it.
That sounds
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah,
It's
I'm-
just
Yeah.
Lola on the Marry Me ship.
to be fair, this did make me laugh a little. Mostly Suleiman was the key to this working so well.
Suleiman staring to the camera like Jim Halpert. All right. Do we have to be serious now?
We don't have to be, but we can.
I'm gonna try.
I mean, we won't be, and we'll be criticized for not being serious enough. But let's give it a shot, Ed.
It's never bothered me before. I just want to know how the crowd is feeling right now.
Well, I don't know because we're recording this before they're listening.
All right.
Follow your
Here we
heart,
go.
Ed.
63 years ago, Mother Carmel and the children simply vanished. Even Big Mom herself does not know the full truth of it. But as a matter of fact, there were 2 people present who witnessed the whole thing. I love the way this first half of the panel page is set out. At sort of Big Mom's like devastation, like you can see like things are being cast away from her as she cries. The sound effects were all sketchy with it too. But our conspirators, Sanji, Luffy, and Capone they're looking pretty. They're not looking worried just yet. Capone is even smiling a bit, but I love where Oda puts the Oda box directly in Big Mom's mouth. That's a good. I like that. It just makes
Yeah.
it makes sense. They're focused there. But moving on, the 2 people. One was a warrior of Elbaf who was worried about the House of Lambs and came back in to check on them. The giant went pale, took off running, never came back to the island again. Eventually, tales spread to Elbaf, and then all the giants in the world, and from that point onward, the name Charlotte Linlin became so hated that no giant would even speak it aloud.
So there's a
Yeah,
lot of
look-
stuff going on this page. Yeah.
Look at like she's in a field all by herself. Like he sees her from a distance, and it's very chilling after you saw what happened with what happened last time, and like her in the field alone is so unwholesome.
What does it do
It
It
to
really
make it?
accentuates her loneliness.
Yeah,
What does it take to make a giant make that face? That's the question.
he went
CP0 secretly stealing all of the things while
Yes,
he escaped.
clearly. Yeah.
Mhm.
He does like a Hanna-Barbera gag where his eyes almost bug out and he goes running. Thankfully, Oda resisted the impulse to actually make his eyes bug out, but
So,
he does flee in terror.
Or
It's,
to add a baboing sound effect when the eyes come in.
We'll wait for the anime.
Or he runs in place a little bit before he gets going.
We could do a Three Stooges kind of thing when he runs away.
there's that
Interesting.
cool-
Who do we think these graves are for on Elbaf?
Well, the first one is what's his name? Not Jarol.
Jarol.
Yeah.
Y'all rule.
Oh, it is Jarol. That's
Is
the
it-
one who died. I mix up the two because they're exactly the same, just about the name.
I think it's Yarol, right?
Mhm.
Well, it's
Uh-oh.
the fall beard.
Yarl,
not
Yarl, and Yorl.
Oh, okay.
But do we know who the other 2 are? The one on the right looks kind of like Dory or Brogy's helmet.
Yeah, I saw
Other one kinda
someone
looks like an
posted.
anchor.
Someone posted a theory that maybe they thought that the 2 of them were dead, and that's why they're there.
The
I'm-
third helmet is Sabo's.
Yes, that's. I personally think it's something we'll find out about later. I think there's a lot more to be said about Elbaf in the future, and I think that's personally my theory on that.
It's kind of insane that she ever thought that she would get the giants in her family, but she doesn't know all the facts.
No, yeah,
unfortunately.
she doesn't remember doing that.
Yeah, but in hindsight, it looks like her quest to bring the giants into her crew and her family was ridiculous.
And she blamed
Yeah.
Lola for it, which is even crazier.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
even worse.
Well, yeah. The interesting part is what this would suggest now about the Prince Loki's role in this. That apparently, despite the fact that none of the giants wanted anything to do with her. Like he was so presumably he was so smitten with Lola that that it would have overridden all of this animosity, at least temporarily, in order to get to the point of a marriage offer, and then of course it fell to the wayside again. So yeah, I don't know, that makes that much more interesting now, I think.
It's also weird to me that if all the giants know what happened, that no one just like mentioned it to Big Mom when they were presumably having like negotiations for like the marriage or anything.
I have a feeling those negotiations never got as far as they said, or as it was implied. Yeah, I have a feeling.
And it does also seem like it could have been like a game of telephone where the legend sort of gets degraded over time, and maybe they just know of her as a bad person that they don't associate with, rather than literally like the children eater Big Mom.
Although giants live like 300 plus years, so
that's true.
I mean, what is 60 years really? It's around 20 years to us. Which,
the other thing about this too, and I saw a lot of people just kind of jumping to the obvious conclusion, but whether it's simply a case of Oda kind of using I don't know, being coy, or simply kind of tiptoeing around stating the obvious, or whether he's actually hiding something, is the fact that it doesn't say literally what happened here either. It just says the giants saw what it was that happened. And so, if you're happening to think that there's some kind of secret, not obvious conclusion that happened here in these events that we're not seeing, that this does not rule that out either. I mean, it certainly suggests that whatever it was that he saw was still pretty bad for Lin, but it doesn't literally spell out what we're all assuming happened. So I thought that was interesting as well.
Well, the other thing is, do we think we're ever going to find out? I prefer to leave it kind of vague. Even if I personally think it's a little more obvious, I like the fact that narratively it's vague and you kind of have to infer what happens.
It doesn't kind of dwell on the gruesome details of it.
Correct.
I think the Oda box being in Big Mom's mouth is another visual tease to what we already know, though.
Yep.
I didn't even think of that. Very well. Yeah.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah.
He's coming for the narrator next.
To be fair, the narrator has been kind of ridiculous the last few chapters, and very present as we go to the next page, Joey.
Yeah, so meanwhile, the other witness, and we see a fine young fellow here, was a failed piratical cook who'd wound up living on the island by the name of Strusen. And we probably all recognize that name, right? As her current cook. And he found this to be very entertaining. So he's a very different type personality than the alien, and he's rolling on, or alien. I'm sorry, giant. I don't know.
Don't tease Zach like that. That's not nice.
Yeah.
It isn't. I mean, I got very excited. I thought we were going.
Yeah, no, I was literally just emailing people about a story with aliens, and I think that's anyway.
Alien giants.
Yeah. So he's rolling on the ground, laughing here, and we see him do something really cool where he's chopping a log and it's transforming into steaks. And as he's laughing, he says that he's never seen a monster like that before. And the narrator comes back in that he had the ability to turn any object into food thanks to the power of the cook fruit. And so we see that while we've been very impressed with his cake making skills up to this point, he was just a big cheater.
What the hell?
Yeah. So,
Well, at the same time,
is he a failed cook because he's eating the steak raw?
Good point.
How are you a failed cook if you can literally generate food from nothing?
I think
I
that
Like
is
food out the cooking.
Is it like wood steak or is it like meat steak?
Well, it's a steak.
Well, maybe he was okay at being a
God.
cook, but he was bad at being a pirate.
I just got that pun.
Piratical.
Oh my god!
But so he sees that
It's a
at
cool
this
power.
rate she's gonna die, and thinks that this is a waste. So he goes up and introduces himself to her, and so we see this sad Lin crying and seeing him, and he's saying to her, "Care to speak of dreams, little lady?" And she's like, "Who are you? And where's mother?" And he says, "Wait, don't come too close." So he's obviously still showing caution here. But he assures her that the mother's gonna come back soon, and they should wait around and wait for her, and assures her that she's never gonna go hungry with him around. And this was the meeting, or it was the meeting of these two that launched the eventual Big Mom Pirates. And so we flash back into current day with Streusen here, the old man Streusen.
I like what
looking
he's done
on
to his nose. I love what he's done to his nose.
Do
and
noses get
he's
bigger when you get older?
Yes.
Is that really a thing?
Exactly.
It's cartilage.
yeah,
You
noses and ears continue to grow. Right?
Ears, I know. You don't have to
Yeah.
tell me about
Yeah.
ears.
Has Urasawa taught us nothing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if Urasawa touches that nose is not nearly big enough. So he's crying out to Big Mom to regain her senses, because he sees that there are enemies ready to shoot her. And so here we see Vito and Capone and what's the other guy, Gotti, and they're thinking that they're seeing that Big Mom is weakened, and they've got at least 5 seconds where no one can move. And as they raise up their KX launchers, they begin to pull on the trigger.
And they shoot, finally, after how many chapters have they had these KX launchers ready to go? I love the hell out of this panel. As we see the slow motion bazooka-esque KX launchers heading straight toward Big Mom, who is still weeping like a 6-year-old who ate everyone on her birthday. And what? And we get kind of a flashback to the dialogue back when they were planning this ridiculous plan that we all knew was going to work. And they say that's when the KX launchers will be most effective and Big Mom will die. And we go back into Big Mom's inner monologue as she thinks, "Mother, they're all trying to stop me." And we see the 3 bazookas for the 3 KX launchers coming in, and Caesar makes the most lovey-dovey face as he...
So that's
Wow.
There's hearts. Look at the hearts.
yeah, he's in love with those launchers.
I love
but
I love that sound effect font. I don't know even what to call
Was Caesar's appearance here like to foreshadow what happens with the KX launchers on the next page?
Like,
Just to remind us that they
isn't
couldn't possibly have, because of his track record.
To be fair,
Yeah.
we predicted that immediately. We're like, what's the part that's going to go wrong? We said, oh, it's the KX launchers. That is the part that will go wrong. And we were 100%
Yeah.
right there.
But putting Caesar directly here is like, oh yeah, this guy made these things, right?
I
It
also,
also reminds us that he loves death.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is, yeah.
I like too. Nice touch that Gotti loaded his launcher into his railgun
Oh yeah.
to shoot it.
I also like how
Gotti.
Gotti wears something with his name on it to remind us what his name is.
No, it's
Yeah.
to remind him which is his. He can't remember.
Have we seen anything to determine he's stupid? I think the one time we had like a real interaction with him, we just know he's a little bullheaded. Like he's,
Yeah, I would say that's more accurate. He's very single-minded. It seems like.
loyal, I think.
Yeah.
I think we see this a little more, but we also have Capone's logo on not just the back of Gotti there, but also Capone, which I hadn't really noticed very much. Anyway, on the bottom part of the page, we have reactions as people are still holding their ears from the noise that Big Mom is making, including katakuri, smoothie, oven. I'm playing the jammer game and seeing if I can get it right here. We have Sanji still standing on the table around the Vin smokes and Carrot and Nami in front there. We have Perospero, the Straw Hat crew, and I'm just going to say that because I think the other 2 will be in the Straw Hat crew at some point. We have Pudding with 2 of her eyes open. You guessed which 2. And Bookman and one of the other people.
Nailed it.
And the rest.
Montour.
Montour.
And
I don't remember
Little
the
girl.
other two.
She starts with a G.
Galette. That's
Yeah.
Galette? I thought that was the one with the big hat. Which one's the one with the big hat?
Amand.
Amand. It popped into my head as I was asking. Okay.
And then some rando in the back.
Yeah, we don't know that person's name.
His name is Sweetums.
From Parks and Rec?
No, from Muppet Show.
Oh. That makes more sense. Okay, where are we here, Steven?
And so then we get a very complicated timeline page here where the Big Mom in her kind of traumatized fugue state here is just rushing through. Her life is flashing before her eyes here. I'm sure that's what Caesar is thinking, that she is imagining back in the days of the House of Lambs, so before all of the big events. The kids are saying, "Oh, let's make our own country. We're gonna make a land of dreams where everyone is equal." And Linlin's like, "Country?" They say, "Yes, a place where all races can coexist in peace, where everyone is at the same eye level," which we may recall is something that Big Mom herself has mentioned earlier in the arc.
I just want to, can I just confirm something here, since we're at this line? I'm definitely going to forget. Does it work metaphorically in Japanese as well, like where everyone is at the same eye level, meaning everyone is at the same status? Could it also mean that?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it is literally eye level, so...
Right. But you could say that literally in English, and it could mean something metaphoric.
I think it works perfectly the same in both cases.
I like the idea that she misinterprets that to literally mean eye level, because she's trying to gigantify people through Caesar. So
that's true. That does work. That does work on multiple levels for as far as how Big Mom interprets it. Because as we can see in the second panel here, that is exactly what she envisions. Everyone is going to be big like her, and she has. It's a little bit creepy because it's like the kids and Mother Carmel are both the same height now.
Like she's a giant chibi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great because Lin her proportions are like her head is always very large in proportion to her body. So when everyone else is drawn the same way, it definitely has that effect. And we have Mother Carmel, who is I'm gonna presume is like half bullshitting here, where she's like, "Oh yeah, sure, if there's lots of different places that did that, oh, the world would be such a wonderful place. Everyone would be happy," as she does her little troll face look there. And then we cut forward to Strusen, who presumably he's just heard this dream of Lin's in their first conversation, and now they are sitting on the roof of the House of Lambs. And so, peace, that's your dream, Lin? Yeah, I'm gonna make a land that Mother would like. And on the other side of the page, we see a familiar-looking little flower, sing-songing along. And Lin's like,
these flowers make a return in the anime this week, for the record.
And Lin's like, "Oh, hey, it's that magic trick that Mother did. How come I can do it?" And Strusen obviously recognizes that this is devil fruit powers, so we can see that yes, she already has the soul fruit powers. So yeah, and more evidence, more 2 + 2 = 4 going on here. And Strusen says perhaps latching on to this, the potential that he sees here. He's a lot like he's kind of I guess a little bit like a foil for Mother Carmel, where like he is also the the little conscience sitting on the shoulder, but he seems to have no qualms about steering her towards disaster, whereas Mother Carmel was just going to kind of sell her off and get rich off of it.
I would like also to someone mentioned this, and I can't stop thinking about it. He looks a lot like Pedo Spedo, which is kind of awful to think about. Which it's like he has like one scene where like his tongue is out, and he has like the same expression. Their eyes are really similar, and the nose.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a Woody Allen situation, because Oda has very conspicuously not shown, not gotten into any details about how her, her husbands and her marriages and all of that work. And, she's got this soul creation ability, so it could be more, I guess, figurative than literal. But yeah, that is kind of creepy. And we kind of get the we kind of get the Demon Child Nico Robin thing here, where we get these bounties as she grows in age, and these people who are referring to it, I guess it's the Navy, the Marines, say, oh, 50 million, but she's just a kid. And but Cypherpole reports that she's dangerous. We have to capture her before she gets huge. And then we see in this second poster that she is at 500 million.
Yeah.
And
I like how they also bring back Cypherpole after the last chapter, where that's who
right.
Carmel was dealing with.
Right. That they would have known about Lin better than anyone. And I should point out too that Oda spelled in the one poster, he spelled it Rin, and we actually retouched it to go to Lin because that's what we've been using, and it is also what he used when he did his little Oda introduction. So
several times.
Yeah.
To be fair, he also called Big Mom Big Ma'am in Fishman Island, and we know that's not the case. So you can't always take those as 100%. Is where I'm going with that.
Yeah. And so now we've got little. Presumably, I'm going to guess here that this is a teenage Lin. She's got a dapper little tea party hat, and her hair is braided up now, and she is demanding all of these sweets that the people of this town have. And we can see that Zeus and Prometheus are there, and they're looking creepier than usual, especially Prometheus. Looks pretty terrifying. And she's going to guarantee them something. But I also want to point out that we got a Panda Man shirt here, and it also says Sasa on it, which means bamboo. So, and I think Oda used that as when he submitted his Panda Man, Kinnikuman design back in the day, like his attacks, his special moves that he said were like Sasa kick or something like that, and like Sasa punch or something. So he may be going back to that.
Doesn't that guy in the bottom look like one of the Funk Brothers?
Yeah,
a little bit. I just want to say also,
anyway,
the only thing that changed in Lin's wardrobe, there are two things that changed over the course of this period of time that we see here. Her color's inversed, it seems, and the hat she's wearing looks just like Strussen's hat, or very similar to it, which I think is really interesting as well. Also, cool. Zeus is still very high. Good for him, I guess.
Well, he is a cloud.
Yeah, he is high. Yes, that's true. Jill.
I wonder if that's like a cheesecake vape. That's she likes her sweets.
What?
Cheesecake vape. Write it down.
Zeus the cheesecake vape. Fine, I'll vape it. No, I don't even vape. I am not a. Okay, Jill.
Okay, and she's asking them to give them all the sweets, and in return, she'll guarantee them peace and a land of dreams. And if you do as she says, everyone will be happy. And if you don't listen to her, you're just being selfish. And she's just going to have to kill you. That's how it works. It's the rules. Can't do anything about it. She looks adorable. Like, in a very evil way, but also really cute. Like, I'm digging
just
it.
evil. Just evil.
No, the hat is so cute. Like, I'll wear that. I'm going to wear that outfit. I'm going to make it.
Well, are you already? You're going to be cosplaying her soon, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be cosplaying old Big Mom. Now I got to do young Big Mom. The biggest mom. Lil Mom.
And she's holding a king here, it seems. Which is interesting, I assume. Anyway, please continue.
And she talks about how... Oh, wait, we're in present day thinking now. I'll make everyone gigantic today, someday, mother. Then we'll sit at the table again. But someone's still not listening to me, and now I'm so sad I can't stop crying. They took my only picture of you, and they broke it. I'll make them pay. I'll make the Straw Hat crew pay for their sins. And then
she from New Orleans now?
Yeah, she got a little Scarlet O'Hara there.
I had a better accent when I wasn't had a stuffy throat. But yeah, she goes full throttle Super Saiyan mode here in this panel. And shocker, KX launchers don't work. Everyone's it's a shocker to everyone else.
Although to be fair, this part probably wasn't Caesar's fault.
Yeah. This surprised. This did shock me because I thought they were gonna at least make contact with her and then fail.
No, she's just that strong, man.
Yeah, this is a very DBZ moment. What is going on in that second to last panel there? Is that just me that I can't figure out?
I think that's like a crushed rocket.
Yeah,
like
it's just
the debris of the
it's
rocket.
showing that it's just gone. There's nothing left.
I still I can't visually figure that
I love how this starts with her in the past, and we get a hallucination of her with Mother Carmel together at the table together, and then like the broken picture back to Mom crying, and then like zooming in on the KX launcher, and then just blowing it up.
Well, it's also just great because she's so emotionally stunted. Like, nothing has changed. She just is doing the same. She literally has the same vision that she did as a kid a few pages earlier here.
Yeah.
Also notable that the two halves of Mother Carmel's picture have different expressions.
Ah.
Oh,
What?
wow!
It may have been broken into 3 or something, because it looks like it's the side of the chunk over her mouth. But yeah, actually, I was going to say, I'm glad you pointed that out, Zach, because that second panel, the top one there of the the imaginary eye level table, like that actually was my favorite panel of this chapter, because I find it very kind of subtly but profoundly creepy, because it's really a visual distillation of her arrested development, because this is literally her childhood dream, but it is old Big Mom, like, kind of, I don't want to say decrepit, but he's just got all these fantastic characteristic wrinkles, and she looks like one of those old Miyazaki witch ladies, and to see her like living out this 5-year-old's dream it just feels wrong. Like, yes. you sense that something is wrong with her mentality from this. And I found that to be a really kind of vivid image, even though I'm sure a lot of people just kind of skipped right over it. But it really stuck out to me.
Yeah, me too.
Especially because the others don't seem to have aged.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah,
they're
that's
dead,
the thing.
Probably. So
They live inside in her. They live on inside her heart and her stomach.
Yeah,
and her stomach. I do want to say, Ed, I think we've been narrating with the wrong voice this episode. It should have been Ron Howard this entire time. We clearly.
Well, we haven't even gotten to the best part of this arc yet. This chapter.
Wow, sorry. What happens next in the arc, Ed?
I don't know. It's not my page.
Casey.
So yeah, we cut to a really nice wide panel of Big Mom howling and causing even more destruction as some of the cake mountains seem to be curving inward toward her voice. And also we finally see Katakuri making himself useful and making mochi earplugs for the Big Mom pirates as they all put them in. Meanwhile, the Straw Hats and Big are all stunned that the KX launcher is not working as anticipated. While
when
I'm
Caesar
sure we don't
let
see
us
him
down. Yeah, it's never happened.
Caesar's owing somewhere. And then so we go to Capone, who's screaming, "The plan is failed!" And they're all cheesing it. They're getting out of here. So we cut to Caesar still lugging the mirror that's 3 times heavier than he is.
Brule on his back.
Yeah. Et tu, Brule?
Wow.
So he's sort of he's sort of flashing back to the previous conversation. "Since I can fly, I'll float it in and hold up the escape mirror for the group." And he hears Capone's part of the flashback. "Once we've accomplished our goal, we all jump into Siege's mirror."
I think that's the first time I've heard you do the Capone voice.
I couldn't do Brando, so I tried to go for Pesci.
No, right. You had the right instinct there, I think.
All right, and so Caesar, sort of giddy, sort of terrified. "Well, here comes my part. I can't believe she destroyed my launchers. The monstrous hag. Guess the Emperor for the Sea is for real." And he's lunging that mirror very vicariously close to the damaging sound waves.
It's also weird. Caesar was terrified of Doflamingo, but it doesn't really. It's like, oh, Big Mom, this will be easy. We could do this. Anyway.
Yeah, it's because he thinks he has a way out.
That's true.
Escape plan.
Well, we'll see if that holds up, Joey.
Right. So as he's continuing to lunge, and we got a good. I like this little, like, it's small, but I like this little drawing of him like lunging forward with smoke behind him, and he's saying, "Time to split, boys! Jump to the mirror!" And Capone and his gang are running for the mirror, and Capone's motioning to the rest of the Straw Hats and plus ones to come along, and so Luffy and Nami and everyone are rushing in. As Caesar's feeling this incredible wind pressure coming out of Big Mom's mouth, big close-up of her screaming, and sure enough, the large lady sang, and crash goes the glass.
Now it's over, now that the fat lady has sung.
No! Correct. Yeah.
I know a lot of our fans, and we predicted this particular panel almost. But, not disappointing at all. I mean, disappointing, but not disappointing.
In retrospect, it looks like a really bad plan that they're going to bring in a mirror while she's screaming at the top of her lungs.
Yeah, I like that even Brulee's kind of eyes are bugging out at that bottom panel too a little bit. And Caesar, I could see this drawing with like his eyes going and tongue going out even further, but it's even better, I think, short because it kind of looks stunted. Like he's just like, ugh,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so on the next page there, everyone's still, through momentum only, rushing towards this broken glass and all screaming together. And then a thing I really love about this sequence is that we are seeing everyone's shocked face with these completely whited out eyes, hockey eyes, as we used to say. And we see, everyone freaking out, Luffy and Nami and Chopper with their mouths agape and white eyes. And then Jinbei is upset, but not quite to the point.
Jinbei has no fear. We went through this. He's a true warrior of the Cleon.
Yeah, so like if everyone's going, he's kind of going,
Luffy-kun, what are we doing now?
Well, he is the Muppet of the crew, so he can't do anything with his eyes. Like that's how he shows shock. He just opens his mouth.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think Funimation voice actors have mentioned that all One Piece characters kind of have Muppet mouths to begin with. So it's not that far off.
I imagine this inner monologue is all of them together saying, that this is bad. We're stuck on the roof and there's no escape. And we see Capone's gang having some teary faces as Big Mom's family approaches Katakuri, Smoothie, Oven, and Genie Wine.
No. It's Genie Weenie.
Okay. Well, he wants them to ride his pony, though, Zach. And no hope of winning.
Yeah.
What a panel.
So,
Ed.
So, Capone calls out his attack name and throws up the lamest shocker ever. Fools. Full scale, Rook. And the Straw Hat contingent looks on in awe, and then the Big Mom's family all looking on in awe. And Luffy, like, ultra close up on Luffy, like his mouth is way just hanging open.
That is a derpy Luffy face.
Yeah,
it is.
Makes sense though. But it's looming over them, and like the fog, like the smoke is rising above them. It's the Big Father. My God, it's we are all at Camp Renata now. Hello, Big Mother. Hello, Big Father. It's One Piece. It's One Piece, man. Look at this guy. Look at his like chimney cigar and his ridiculous chin. And look at him. He's a giant fortress, man. It's like a Mighty Max come to life.
I could just listen to Ed react to this for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, if there was any doubt, like the thought did cross my mind, like, is this Capone transformed? Is it not? Like what? And then, but like the fact that it's smoking the cigar, cements
you
it.
See his eyes and his nose and I guess his mouth there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's just, this is this is the full extent of his powers, I guess, is the way.
This is his awakened devil.
No,
Yeah,
shut
there we
up.
go.
No, then everyone would be a castle.
Yeah. I really like the fact that Oda drew this. You can tell that Oda drew this entirely himself, and there's a very bold, because like all of the background stuff, like for example, some stuff that would look similar, like the Germa castles, is all done by the assistants, and they have these super fine details, to the point where you can't even really see all the lines. And you can tell that this was done by Oda himself, because it's it's a character, and so it's moving, and it fits all the rules for what Oda would draw.
It doesn't have to be perfect either, like, 'cause it's him, it's
right.
Bone's body.
And it just kind of pops off the page, because he's got those thick lines, because Oda's not going to spend half the week drawing one panel, and he's obviously going to have to draw this guy in the future as well. So I think there's like a very kind of refreshing simplicity of design, even though there is a lot of design to it. It's just a super cool look.
It's got like brass knuckle cannons.
Mm-hmm.
He's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. I also,
Yeah.
I would point out too that it was kind of weird. Like, it really took me a while, but so I have him saying full scale Rook in the corner, but it was originally not. The attack name that he used was actually in German, and it was in katakana. It didn't have kanji. It was like Rook in volle Größe or something like that, which means, in German, it means Rook at full scale or at full size or something like that. And it really threw me off, because in katakana especially, it looked like it could have been Italian. And you would assume, okay, well, he's the godfather, he's this mafia guy. Like, they borrow so many elements of that for his character and his crew and his motifs, that like having him suddenly use a German term really kind of threw me off. But eventually I did figure it out. And I was really trying to like come up with some kind of very punny Rook thing, like rookin' for trouble, or Rook who's talking. I don't know, so something really stupid like that. But I couldn't really get something that worked, that wasn't a little too cheeky. So full scale Rook it was.
And then the Big Father, is that English?
That was Oda.
I know.
So
but
yeah.
Like,
yeah, it was big father.
okay, awesome.
I
he
have
literally
to say, our
he
fans,
just threw
Go
the big kanji in front of the father term that everyone uses to refer to Capone, which we translate as Godfather. So yeah, that's what he did.
Why don't we go around the horn and thoughts on the chapter? Let's start with Joey.
Yeah, I liked it. Good chapter. I like that coming out of the flashback, we knew that there was some stuff that still needed to be filled in, and we got a sort of chapter where we got to have our cake and eat it too. We got to have to see what was happening now in the present, but also fill in some of these little gaps without having to like dedicate a whole another chapter to a flashback, So that was really great. And yeah, I totally agree with everything Stephen was saying about the sort of like, for lack of a better word, sloppiness of the way that the drawing of the Big Father is. Like, it looks very lively and very much like it came from an artist's hand, rather than just kind of like, here's a very well-drawn castle. And it's very sloppy in a way that like I kind of like can almost see the original artwork when you're looking at like some of the shading and stuff. It looks really, really cool.
Yeah, it wasn't drafted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it was, very satisfying to get the thing that was that the whole thing about when the fat lady sings and it breaking the glass and stuff. Was that from a listener, or was that something that you guys?
We named an episode when the fat lady sings.
I know.
We talked about it.
Lines,
I can't remember where that idea came from specifically, but like that's really great, and I'm glad that it happened, and that it has now taken the easy out away from our heroes, and we're gonna have to have a rumble. So yeah, but very exciting. Yeah, go ahead.
No, please, Joey.
Oh, I was just gonna wrap up by basically saying I don't have a whole lot. Like, I didn't have a whole lot specifically that I was like, oh man, I can't wait to talk about this chapter. Except for the fact that it was nice to see Pudding in that sort of montage of everybody holding their ears, because it felt like we hadn't seen her in a bit, since she had sort of like been kind of floundering a little bit back and forth with what was going on with Sanji and stuff. So it was nice to check in with her, even though all she's doing is holding her ears, just to kind of be reassured, like she's not like sneaking around and doing something, mischievous. She's with everybody else, kind of reeling.
I don't know if that's worse or better. Okay, yeah. Why don't we go on to Casey? What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very action-oriented chapter, so it doesn't really generate a ton of discussion, in my opinion. But it was well done. I mean, we all had predicted all along that Caesar was going to be a part of this botched plan, but honestly, it really doesn't feel like his fault. It just wasn't a plan that was going to work in the first place, it seems. They underestimated they underestimated the force of that scream, and bringing glass and other perishables is a really bad idea.
You're becoming a Caesar defender too. It's you and Sam, just the
Caesar apologist. Yeah, we're going to Shangri-La, and. I also really like the reveal of the Big Father. I think it'll be really fun to watch the Big Mom the Queen versus the full scale Rook in any capacity that we get. We don't often get giant things battling, other than Dory and Brogy and so on. At least mano y mano. We get people fighting giants, but not giants fighting. And yeah, just generally, I think it's a quite good chapter. I think it sort of wraps up most of the sort of lingering questions about what actually occurred, even though they're not going to say it outright likely. I don't really feel like they need to. I think this made it pretty clear, at least given how Streusen and the Giant reacted to what they saw. Going back, I really do like that Oda box in Big Mom's mouth. I think that tells us everything we need to know. And yeah, just generally a good chapter. I'm looking forward to the fallout from this, as it seems like it's going to be very, very chaotic, and we'll probably get a lot of fighting out of it.
Steven.
I really liked this chapter. I agree with what Joey said about the way that he structured it, with kind of the jumping back and forth and getting at least the little tidbits of her backstory that we kind of needed in order to connect what we were told about her to kind of where we are at this precise situation. I think he did that really well in a scenario where a lot of the time I would probably think it was a bit disjointed, but I like the way that he executed it here. It's I think it was very thrilling just to see the plan fall apart in such a spectacular fashion. Not obviously that's very bad for the Straw Hats, for the good guys, but it definitely kind of puts us into, okay, well, what happens now? And it is hard to guess. And so the vision of the Big Father at the end was like a big bold exclamation point at the period at the end of the chapter, like, okay, this is what's going to happen next. Capone is kind of pulling his ace from his sleeve here, and showing off his final form. So that is interesting. I really like that Oda is not. It seems like the way that he is framing this, especially like in the immediate aftermath of the mirror breaking, where you just kind of see, okay, now here we are. They're surrounded by all these formidable fighters, and that one panel of them all kind of closing in. Like he doesn't really leave you with a lot of room to imagine, like, okay, here we go. How do we split this up? Who fights who? Like he makes it, he kind of spells it out more like, no, that's not going to work in this scenario. That formula, the shonen formula, doesn't seem like it will be a successful one here. There's just too much to deal with, and I like that. Not only just because I'm not as big of a fan of the splitting up, at least not in such a story focused arc, but also just because it feels like this was already kind of a high wire balancing act for them. They were kind of coming in incognito and trying to pull off this thing. This wasn't a full scale war, and they shouldn't really stand a chance against the full forces of Big Mom. And so I thought he did a good job of selling kind of the futility of their situation at this point, which is it will be interesting to see where they go from here, because it does not look very good.
Jill.
Yeah, I like the first half a lot. Like everyone was saying, the getting some answers about the end of Big Mom's flashback. I like the fact that if Drusen hadn't showed up, it's kind of, she could have died or she could have gone on to something else. Like that's probably what ended up making her a pirate. I mean, besides just being crazy and probably eventually eating someone and getting wanted in the first place, he's the one who probably like cajoled her into like going out and conquering stuff with her power. So that was really fun. The inevitable and expected destruction of the KX launchers and the mirror was fantastic. Oda did a great job at that. Like everyone knew it was coming, but he did in such a way that was really enjoyable, even if it wasn't like a huge shock to us. And the Big Father is fantastic. I'm really excited to see where they go from this, because it's a fortress, and I don't see him trying to fight a lot of people in it, because regardless if it's a giant castle or not, they still like Big Mom forces. I don't think he could go against them on his own, so it's interesting to see what are they going to do inside of him. How are they going to try to fight back, or are they just going to try to like wait it out, or how are they going to try to escape from here?
Ed.
Well, Zach, I think everyone's pretty much heard all of my opinions on this chapter already.
You were very, very into what was it? The now I don't even remember.
The big father.
Oh yeah, you were very into that.
Yeah, I love all of it. I love Big Mom in particular in this chapter, just being like, she affects everything despite like standing in one place and basically doing nothing. Like her hallucination is, as I think Stephen, you pointed to that as like your favorite panel in the entire chapter, because it just shows how she hasn't grown at all since then. And like he really goes the extra mile in making her look creepy even as a child. At one point she kind of looks like Uncle Fester from the Addams Family. Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and there's going to be chaos next week. It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll give my 2 cents. I think I want to mention something. I don't know if anyone had the chance to talk about. I think this chapter was one of the coolest laid out chapters I've seen in some time. Especially the last few spreads. First off, there were a lot of two-page spreads, which we haven't gotten, I think, this many in a chapter in some time. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the spread with the KX launchers was super cool, and especially the one I think that Casey did with that long, small 2-page panel at the top where you kind of see Big Mom's reaction. I thought that was really cool. And just in general, I think it was a lot more creative than we usually get. Joey, I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not an artist by any means or anywhere close to that.
Well, the thing that big long panel across the top does is kind of like he has to keep kind of like restating that during all of this, Big Mom is screaming. So that's kind of like showing you that this is covering the entirety of the sequence is her screaming, at the top, and then everything that's happening under it is kind of like happening within that chaos and noise.
And I also love, as Steven really put it, the arrested development of her character is just, I think, so well portrayed here. I did not expect to be going back to the past in this chapter when I was originally, when I opened the chapter. But I think it was super well done. And I agree, I normally am not a huge fan of disjointed narration. I know, Ed, you hate it, if I recall. What was that? I forgot there was a point in One Piece you were like, oh, just stay in stay in a regular narrative.
God, that may have been during Fishman Island.
Yeah, I don't even remember at this point.
They were all over the place, like during the action in that arc.
Anyway,
Might have been Dressrosa, either way.
It was something that Ed didn't enjoy. I think it really, really works in this individual chapter. And I definitely think it brings together the little things we were wondering. It's cool to see Linlin's bounty, kind of progression, just as, a One Piece nerd, which I think most of us are. I think that's really cool. I'm super curious.
Otherwise, he wouldn't be here.
Exactly. I'm super curious how Struzan kind of, why he played this role, what his full role was in the Big Mom crew. Is he one of the big fathers of this chapter, which is now kind of what I wish this chapter had been called? Big Mom, Big Dad, something like that. Even though he's significantly shorter, it's kind of interesting.
That'll be interesting to see them next to each other next chapter, hopefully.
Well, he's definitely way shorter than her, so I don't want to think of the logistics there. But it's just, I don't know. It's very interesting, his reaction to what we think happened there. And, and just to see Big Mom's progression to become the pirate that she is today, with some things in between. I'm super curious where things go from here. I have no idea where this is going next. And,
isn't that fun?
It is fun.
Yes.
Any other comments before we round this up?
Just looking again at the Big Father, I think that's really interesting to me about his design is this sort of like sash or pathway or something that's going across his chest and up to one of his shoulders.
Yeah.
It's an interesting design element that looks like, I don't know, that looks like it might be there for a purpose of some reason, because it doesn't quite fit like it just is if you were just designing like a, symmetrical or semi-symmetrical castle or something. So
I think there are stairs on it.
Yeah. On it?
Yeah, you can see little steps.
Yeah,
by his beard down by the wrists.
Oh, you're right. So that's how like people could maybe climb up to get to the turret or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I hadn't noticed that.
It's, I mean, what a last panel. I had to read through this chapter a bunch of times just to get to that reveal again. I think Ed encapsulated my excitement with that pretty well. Anyway, why don't we get into the next segment?
Actually, I had one more thing.
Yes.
This chapter does lay to rest something we had been talking about for many, many weeks, which was whether or not Reiju's poison nullification powers would come back into play. There are no KX launchers, so obviously not. She will have nothing left to do in that regard.
Hey, there's always a chance for more poison. Let's not rule that out. I still think, since that was set up at the beginning, I feel like something has to happen with that. Otherwise, it's just such a,
I was actually kind of confused about that. If a poison bomb explodes, doesn't the poison get everywhere? But I don't know. Maybe not. I guess it's not poison gas. Maybe it's poison liquid with it.
That's the part that Caesar fucked up.
Yeah. Oh, there was no poison in it.
I forgot to put the poison inside of the... Oh, I'm such an idiot. Okay, why don't we go to the next segment?
This is the anime recap for episode 792, Mom's Assassin, Luffy in the Seducing Woods. I'm your host Sam, and today with me we have, once again, Ed.
Hello.
We have editorial writer for the site, we have Jill.
Hello, everyone.
And we have the guy who I guess hosts the rest of the show most of the time, sometimes, Zach. How's it going, Zach?
Hi, it's going well.
Hey.
Hosting less so lately. You're back now.
Going through the staff credits real quick, we got screenplay by Shoji Yonemura, episode director and storyboard artist is Yoshihiro Ueda, and animation director is Masayuki Takagi. And another thing I think I might do every now and then, or maybe make it kind of a regular thing, is just sort of highlight which chapter or chapters kind of get covered in this episode, because it's starting to get a little hard to keep track of right now. Because this episode specifically was like the last 4 pages of 831 and the first 10 pages of 832. So we're not back on a proper 1 chapter per episode pace yet, which I was disappointed by it.
Yeah, that doesn't have to be proper. I mean,
right. Title card begins at 5 minutes and 48 seconds. It begins with Nami, Chopper, and Carrot running away just from the general craziness of the woods. They run into a giant man in the ground, and it's like a bunch of close-ups, and they all take turns doing this weird little Hanna-Barbera skid with the cartoon sound effect.
It was literally the same Hanna-Barbera sound effect. I'm glad you thought the same thing there, Sam.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't. I thought that would have been copywritten, or
I'm sure it's like
under
public
some sort of
domain or
protection.
something.
It must be, yeah. Well, you'd say that about like Disney characters too, but it's not how that works.
So yeah, it's a giant man in the ground. They're wondering what this is. They're asking him, are you okay? Like, who did this to you? And he assures us that I'm half buried because I want to be. And it's funny to see Chopper be the one who gets angry and do like the straight man Manzai act thing. Where
it's funny that I thought Pound was actually really funny all episode because his timing was good.
Yeah, it's hard to.
I think they dragged him out a little much sometimes. I mean, I appreciated his gag, and I think I appreciated the gags in general more in the anime than I thought I would. But there's some dragging, but I mean, it is the anime.
There was moments of a lot of drag in this episode.
Mm-hmm. That's my main problem. Is I've problems with the pacing of this episode, but
I liked it. I'm just in a good mood or something.
Okay. So yeah, he's I'm half buried because that's just what I like to do. Is basically his reaction, and they're just trying to scurry off and not pay too much attention to him. But he's getting a little hung up on it, and Nami's trying to calm him down. As they're walking away, he says, "I like apple juice," and Chopper responds with like a big angry, "So what? Like why?"
Yeah.
So they're looking for Sanji, but Carrot notices an attacker coming from the trees. It is another rabbit riding a crane, but this rabbit does not seem to be a rabbit in the way that Carrot is a rabbit. There's something very distinctly different about its design. Carrot seems really kind of angry, and she's like clenching her fist and it's lighting up. She's getting ready to basically attack, but Nami convinces her to continue to run away. So
she's just jealous that there's another cuter rabbit on the scene now.
Cuter.
Pardon?
She doesn't want to share your affection, Sam.
Yeah. No, but
Some
I love
competition here.
I love that bit they did with the close up on his like smirk. It makes him have more personality than I felt like he had in the manga.
Randolph was animated really well too. I felt he did a good job.
And so this is when one of the more interesting parts of the episode kicks in, where all the clocks start to go crazy, and a song that is kind of in the same. It's a similar. I don't know much about music, so I don't know if it's like the exact same melody as.
I think I would even call it a somewhat of a remix, or like a very barely. It's almost exactly the same.
Yeah. It's very similar. Similar tone, similar melody. The trees are all starting to sing. Flower, flower, let's play a murder game, and they're all. It's just a lot of running away in this episode. But Carrot is convinced that this rabbit is not a mink. The trees continue to sing. That they're basically singing a conversation with each other, where they're like, "Oh, the Straw Hats have noticed us," but then the other trees say, "No, they haven't." And they mention.
I just want to say they are listening to Roger's pleas that if there is filler, it has to be musical, and they've clearly been doing. I mean, this episode has that a lot.
Right.
So I know Roger's out there somewhere,
Roger was really into this episode.
I every bit of the singing I just loved. It really adds to the tone of just like this creepy forest. It's fantastic.
And they talk about a person named Brule Sama, and that this Brule person is playing with the Straw Hats. And there's it just continues to be a lot of like repetitive scenes of them running and like watching the crane's feet hit the ground as they're chasing them. Carrot does a cool like backflip thing and gets in this big action kick with the rabbit and launching all the electro. And she's saying, "See, he can't use electro, therefore he is not a mink." And she apologizes to the bird before she zaps it unconscious. But Randolph is not done. Randolph, we learned that his name is Randolph through the title card. He's throwing his spear and it spins, and then we cut away to another scene. Sanji, he's elsewhere. He's observing a crack in the wall. They're kind of in the Germa's castle, and he's remembering when he was a kid, and he's remembering his brothers kicking him into the wall, basically, and that crack is still there from when he was a kid, basically.
Very clearly the B story of this arc. Like they hardly spent any time on it.
Right. Yonji appears, our good friend Yonji. He's saying that I was surprised to learn that week-old Sanji was still alive and is a pirate now. And Sanji's just like telling him to buzz off. I cut ties with my family. I have nothing to say to you. And then that kind of sparks a fight that was off-screen in the manga. I think when I think they just cut ahead to like Yonji's head is like kicked in the manga, and they're like talking about a fight that they got into. Well, yeah, I mean,
spoiler alert: Sanji wins.
Yeah. Spoiler
to
alert
be fair,
to anyone who listens to this podcast but only watches the anime.
There's a few, not many. There's at least like 2, I'd say. I do want to say that they do barely show this fight too, because I saw Rogers. At least the title of his review or the tweet about it, like, oh my god, they have 2 amazing fights in this episode. And I think it lasted, a total of 10 seconds, and most of it was just like...
a kick. They clashed.
Exactly. Yeah.
With his Diablo Jamba.
Look, it's better than nothing, but yeah.
He was more excited about the musical number.
Right. So, meanwhile, back at the farm, we return to the seducing woods. The man in the man in the ground is the one who gets poked by the flying spear, which isn't particularly fair because he wasn't even the target. But
we should be calling him Mr. Applejuice by this
Mr.
point.
Applejuice.
Yeah.
Mr. Applejuice is getting picked on. So they're running away, and they're like, okay, we can use this man as a landmark since clearly he has no intention of getting up and leaving anytime soon. We cut back to Luffy versus Luffy. There's a big giant pistol clash. And then the rest of the Straw Hats are passing by, and they're like, "Okay, Luffy, we gotta hurry, we gotta run." And so
the Futurama line, "Perfectly symmetrical fighting has never solved anything," is what came into my head then.
Right, and it's funny when Luffy starts to follow the rest of the crew, and the mirror Luffy just has to go in the opposite direction. So it's like they could have just not fought at all. But obviously, when I say that Luffy starts to follow Nami and the rest, we learn eventually that it's not actually Luffy who's the one following, it's the mirror. But before that happens, there's some more repetitive running. They are doing their best to try to escape the woods using like the log posts, trying to use whatever landmarks they can. But for some reason, they keep running into circles. They keep running into Mr. Applejuice, and they can't understand why. This forest starts to sing again, and it turns out that the person following us, like I said, not Luffy, is in fact Charlotte Brûlé, the 8th daughter of the Charlotte family. Carrot is like, "What are you, some kind of tree?" And Brûlé is, "I'm not a damn tree, I'm Brûlé."
She's much more menacing in her first appearance.
Yeah, and is this the first time we've seen her color scheme?
I think so, because the cover page, each of the kids was like
monochromatic, like they had different color of the rainbow, basically.
Yeah.
Isn't the first
for
time
the
for Mr. Applejuice as well?
Yeah, I think so. Although, like his,
I'm going to be more
didn't-
excited about Brûlée. I'm going to be fair.
me too.
You don't want apple juice?
Mr. Applejuice's
I do.
colors did not like strike me as like, whoa, I didn't expect that. Whereas Brûlée, I was trying to figure out, what her colors were going to be.
To be
since we saw her
fair,
in the
this
manga.
arc is colorful everything, and especially colorful hair.
Was I wrong to be surprised that he had pink hair?
Well, I mean, considering what we eventually know about
Probably.
him, it makes
Yeah,
enough,
but
it makes enough
there's
sense.
2 sides to that, so.
Right, but Brûlée, she's got like gray skin and like purple hair. But
She's a witch.
she is talking. She's got Nami. She's grabbed Nami. She's taunting the Straw Hats. She's saying, "Ah, cute rabbit and a pretty girl. How nice." But when I see those beautiful faces, it makes me want to scratch them up. And she's got her long witch nails, and she's threatening to carve out Nami's face. And that's how the episode ends. To be continued. Do you have any general thoughts, you guys?
It was all right.
Yeah.
I liked it, I think, more than most, I guess. I thought Mr. Applejuice was very funny. I liked the new music, the clock thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good. Just sort of there, but I liked the gags.
Yeah, I liked every bit that was not repetitive running.
Right.
Like every other bit, I was a big fan of, especially the music, and I love Brulee's voice actor.
Like the gags about, but also the gags with when the forest, the people of the forest they're found out.
I did laugh
worked.
out loud at that part. I thought it was very funny. Yeah, I thought they did a good job of that.
This is an episode where, like, I would have liked the way, like I like the idea that they're buying time by inserting musical numbers or showing like implied filler. I would have liked it more if the episode looked nicer. Like, this is one of the uglier episodes of the arc, I'd say. I
just felt it was bland visually. I didn't think it was off modeled or anything.
It was bland. It's just like, it's when there's, again, especially with like the repetitive running, like with Chopper and Nami, or Nami riding Chopper, and like it's just like a still image just like bobbing up and down, barely over the frame of the screen.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't gotten to watch a lot of Whole Cake Island yet because I was away, and I'm planning on marathoning it at some point, and I'm excited to, because I think if this episode's any indication, that if you take these as a whole, I think it would be much more enjoyable, as One Piece usually is, marathoned, than week per week. This is an episode week per week that I think would torture me, and does a little bit more.
Yeah, especially because I thought the two episodes before this one looked really nice, and then this. Yeah,
from what I saw in the recap, which was I probably saw most of both of the episodes in the recap.
Right.
To be fair, but it's really just nice to see Whole Cake Island in color. Mm-hmm. It was cool. I usually skip the recaps, but it was cool seeing the little chibi heads. I'll call them Psychons, since that's what. Around the map and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, I enjoyed this episode, I think, more just because I've barely been in this arc in the anime. Mm-hmm. I've only gotten to peek in here and there. So when I get to do my marathon and catch up and be on the anime recap more, I think maybe this one would be a little more lackluster for me.
You'll like it less when you're more engaged with the show.
In retrospect, I'll be like, why did I like that episode? That's weird.
Sounds about right. Anything else you guys want to say, or are we ready to move on to the next segment?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right.
I could say it. Let's do it. This is the Piece Together segment where we take your questions, comments, and theories from 8 years ago, but we don't really grow at all in answering them, so they might be a little bit, stunted. Let's start with, I could have done better. Let's start with emails.
First question, could Zach have done better?
The answer to that is a clear yes, he could have. First one comes from Christopher, who says, I'm going to translate these names. Cat Viper and Dogstorm are set up originally as portraying a similar type of relationship as Zoro and Sanji have. Do you think that the fight against Jack on Zoe was Oda foreshadowing the fight against Jack or a different, stronger commander in Wano with a Zoro-Sanji tag team battle? I will add, Roger is not here this week, so we will not be fielding any Jack questions. No, but do any of you guys have an opinion or theory on that?
I didn't feel that was specifically foreshadowed. I don't know. Who says, they're going to Wano. When is Luffy and Sanji even going to get there?
Yeah, that's the question for me, is are we going to finally have the entire crew together for a single arc? I'd like to think so. Because I feel like he's making up for Dressrosa in Whole Cake Island.
And Wano, probably. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I think it's likely we'll have the full crew and then some. And Wano, I think it's probably going to be nuts because he's been looking forward to it so much.
Mm-hmm.
Joey, you were gonna. Yeah.
Oh, I'll just also kind of, as far as like Zoro and Sanji's relationship, like I don't see much growth in their dynamic happening, just because like it's kind of just an aspect of their personalities that's kind of more of a gag aspect that I wouldn't see being resolved until maybe the end of the series, but probably not.
More importantly, it's going to be Zoro's arc. I don't think tag teaming is something we're going to see very much of maybe in Wano. Probably.
Yeah, Wano's going to be the place for crazy sword fights.
Yeah, which I'm super. I mean, Ed is super looking forward to. If you thought his Capone reaction at the end of this chapter was big, wait until Ed starts reading Wano. Next,
we'll still be doing the show, so you'll find out every week.
I know. It's end of the year, right? We're supposed to be in Wano at some point toward the end of the year.
God, I hope so.
I mean, I'm enjoying Whole Cake Island a lot, so I'm not in any particular rush. Anyway, next question comes from Nicholas, who totally asks us a question. I was wondering if I could ask Oda a question. Sure. Next,
is that the question?
That's the question.
Oh.
Yes, I mean...
right, Shueisha?
In Japanese?
Yes.
Yeah.
You could send it to Viz. Maybe they could pass it along, but it's unless it's penis related, it's very tough to actually get a question toward him.
Yeah, you got to be specific there, because there's got to be a dick somewhere, because otherwise Oda's not going to answer.
Make him a birthday. That's another good one.
Or the name of the ships in the background of this week's cover page. Jill.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I mean, that might get printed as is.
Yeah. Likely.
Whatever Oda can answer okay to, just and not have to write anything else, is a very likely SBS question.
Or if you interrupt him trying to introduce the SBS, that's also a good way to get in there. Next question comes from Andrew, who said, based on 3 premises, I have one uncomfortable question. Here we go. 1, based on Big Mom's flashback, you could gain devil fruit powers by eating the devil fruit user. That's assumption number 1. Number 2, if you eat 2 devil fruits, you will die. Number 3, Chopper is Luffy's emergency food supply. Therefore, in theory, if Luffy ate Chopper, would he die?
Hey, all this 2 devil fruits, you can't have 2 devil fruits. When has that ever been shown to be true? Like, we just accept that's true. Why?
Look, don't ruin things for me here.
Yeah, Blackbeard's out here doing that all along.
I know.
He's the only one who tried.
That's how Luffy's going to have to defeat Blackbeard, is eat all of his crew members.
Technically, Big Mom has been the closest to getting
the question is, would Luffy die? And I think the answer is yes, on the inside.
Oh. Technically and figuratively. I think that's it for the emails.
The truth is, nobody has eaten 2 devil fruits because they taste so bad.
Also
One's
fair.
enough.
I feel like Luffy would get through that. I don't think he'd have a problem. And Big Mom would definitely eat more devil fruits if she could. Anyway, what's next?
I like that we just meet Dr. Vegapunk and be like, why does nobody ever got more than 1 devil fruit? I never said you couldn't have them.
Vegapunk has like 6 powers.
Yeah, I know.
But Rick Sanchez is filled with different... Anyway, Steven, what do we have on Reddit?
All right, we'll go to Reddit. We'll start off with Hatem H, who says, I think it's clear that Streusen is Big Mom's first husband. How do you feel about this?
Creepy. That's how I feel. I'm creeped out.
Like father, like son. Pedo spedo.
Wow, you're really into this one, Jill.
I'm really tired.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I said in the manga recap that I could see an explanation being that there's just some kind of soul power interfacing going on for this, because especially when you consider Big Mom's childlike mentality, trying to reconcile that with the traditional method of procreation. I think it gets real creepy, even more so than what we've already seen, and extrapolated from what we've seen. So I don't know. I think I feel like either he will never talk about it, or that'll be the answer. That's my guess. Our next is from Brave Sabo, who puts a link to a picture about
it's an audio podcast,
rebirthing
Steven.
of souls. Yeah, it is an audio podcast, but I'll describe it as someone who is labeled as a K164 has a little image where it's side to side of characters from the House of Lambs, the little kids. And we tried this with the underworld kingpins, but they actually did side by sides with Big Mom's children, and noted some similarities in the facial features, such as the little prince kid with the real mean looking eyes and the freckles. Praline has the dark under eye, and she has freckles as well. The girl, the creepy looking girl with the mean looking eyes, that she has the same type of eyes and smile as Cracker, where they're kind of slanted down towards the middle. The long arms kid with the black lips or the dark lips, and the kind of outlined eyes again looks a lot like Mondor, who has outlined dark lips and kind of a pointy nose too. And then the Dufeld looking kid with the sunglasses, who was kind of rounded, looks like the opera siblings, who have similar
that's more of a hairstyle
lips and
thing.
shape. Yeah, a little more. And then finally at the bottom, they have Mother Carmel and Pudding both kind of doing the upturned eye smile with the head tilted to the side. So I don't know. If it's a coincidence, it's quite a coincidence. And obviously, you can kind of cherry pick some of these features, because I'm sure that there are probably cases that don't match up like this. But it's kind of compelling when you look at it all together like this.
I think the first two are of these kind of theories, which I'm always a little more skeptical about just going in. I think the first two, the Cracker one and the Praline one, actually are pretty similar. I'm a little surprised.
Mm-hmm.
The others I'm a little more skeptical about.
It does make you wonder, like, okay, well, is it possible? I don't know. Is it possible then that if she just reformulates the souls of the people that she's eaten, is that what happens to her husbands? Maybe Strusen is just a totally different case. Maybe he wasn't a husband, but maybe all of these kids, they were quote unquote husbands in the sense that she used their soul power to make her offspring with her soul powers. And so maybe that's like,
but how does Pound
doesn't have,
how does Pound figure into that?
I don't know.
too?
That would be something that would need to be explained if that's the case. But
Well,
it would explain why we haven't seen any husbands. I guess that's the way.
I like this idea a lot. Especially if we're talking about the arrested development of Big Mom, and that in some way she would use her soul power to like try to recreate people in the likenesses of the people she lost. But like, unlike the people that she lost, these people actually get to grow up. And also, this is very minor. I mean, 'cause, there's only a couple ways you can draw a wink, but on the Pudding and Mother Carmel thing, they do tend to wink with the same eye. Even the closed eye in this particular chapter, she's holding it, is the same one in Mother Carmel's picture, which is neither here nor there really. But I like the idea that she's, if we're gonna go with the soul power hypothesis, which I much prefer to thinking about than traditional procreation with Big Mom and all the creepiness that Strusen might imply. I think that makes quite a bit of sense.
I feel like it would just be so much more compelling, just quickly, if Carmel had a third eye, or if they somehow implied that, like, I'm not even
under her habit.
Yeah, we never saw into the habit.
I mean, who the hell knows?
But also, I wanted to say real quick too, that as far as why Strusen wouldn't have been eaten, he can turn anything into food. He's useful.
Yeah. It certainly does suggest, okay, well, now we know, or that would imply that that's how the island got turned into Whole Cake Island, that he used his power to cakeify it.
That's a good point. I didn't put two and two together there, but that's a cool point. So I guess you would have to kill Strusen to return the island, potentially. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
We're gonna get to real.
Yeah.
I hate to backtrack, but Hatem also had that second question there, which I could answer if you
Sure.
want, Stephen. Do you want to read it or should I?
Let's see. I'm scroll up. I have been thinking about starting a One Piece podcast in another language. Do you guys have any advice that you could offer?
I mean, I've always kind of wanted to be able to cater to people who do not speak English, so feel free to email the general email and maybe work something out if you or anyone else listening is interested in doing a One Piece podcast in another language, to either, partner up in some way or to at least give some guidance in that direction, because I feel like everyone deserves a One Piece podcast, right? Although Stephen only speaks 2 languages, as far as I know.
Yep, as far as you know.
Watch and reference your region's version of The Simpsons as often as possible.
That is a requirement if you want to be part of our family. Please go ahead, Stephen.
I'll read this one from Black Northwind since we were kind of just talking about this. Hello, OPP. Last time you mentioned that Blackbeard ate a part of Whitebeard to get his power. I disagree with that. I think that he simply used his dark power to extract the Tremor fruit before it got to the nearest fruit. And because of Blackbeard's odd body, he is able to sustain 2 devil fruit powers at once. I mean, that would kind of seem to be like the most obvious read, I guess, or the most straightforward read of what happened. But
I have a feeling we're not going to really know the correct reason for some time.
Yeah. Not until we actually have to fight him for real. I feel like that's when we'll actually find out. So yeah. Let's see. Bakugan 2556 says, hey, OPP, last week you didn't answer my question. Why? Well, I think last week we had tons of theory and lots of very specific questions about what happened in the chapter. And so we were kind of paring down. We were focusing on the very pressing issues. And also, we don't have time to read every single question. So some of them always do get left by the wayside. But my actual question is, why is it that people hate on the anime so much, including you? I'm in the Dressrosa arc, and I have no complaints for the arc besides the usual One Piece complaints, which is that the pacing is a little slow. That may just be because I'm a young teenager and not experienced in criticizing anything, but that's my take on it. What are your thoughts?
I think he answered his own question here. As teenagers, everything is wonderful. Actually, no, that makes no sense either. But
no.
We've all grown cynical and old and angry with life, and except Jill, it's also, who's young.
It's not that bad. Listen to me and Sam sometime.
That's why Sam and Jill host the segment. They are young and optimistic about life.
It's also a function of experience. Get out there, watch a lot of anime. You'll have a lot to compare it to.
And if you've listened to the anime recap this week, I think it benefits a lot from marathoning. So you're up to Dressrosa, this listener. So I understand why he likes it more, because he or she is marathoning through it. And I think the anime is fine if you marathon through it. I think it is not fine if you watch it week to week, much of the time, not all of the time, obviously.
It's an interesting perspective I have on this anime, having watched it like every week for the last 9 years on a weekly basis.
That's kind of also part of it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the anime is for me.
I mean, I think back at like Alabasta and some of the big arcs at Water 7, where the anime is just such an important part of the One Piece experience for me. And since, I had been reading for 8 years when I was up to Dressrosa, it's just the anime is not going to have that kind of connection to me. I think that's part of it, and that might be different for this listener and many other listeners.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched the One Piece anime other than a choice few movies that are, material that wasn't from the manga. Generally speaking, I mean, I don't tend to watch a lot of anime compared to manga, especially with like really long things like this. And that's because, manga tends to be a lot easier to read on the go. Wherever I am, I can crack a manga open. I can't necessarily do that with anime. And manga, I can also read at my own pace. If I'm watching anime, I'm at the mercy of an animator to do 22 minutes of, sometimes very stretched out or very condensed material. As for the other statement, which, sort of said, like, I might be too young to be full of criticism. I don't think that's necessarily it either. Although I do think that, as older fans, we all kind of wrestle with like the idea of the things that we grew up with in particular being the perfect thing. Like for me, I grew up in the age of like Yu Yu Hakusho. So for me, that's like the perfect, shonen anime. And that might be too old for some people. It might, but neither here nor there. Whatever your first experience was, that's probably going to be your golden thing. So if you're growing up on One Piece, the anime, that's, you don't have any other baggage going in. This is the thing you have, and you've got nothing to compare it to. And I don't think that's bad. And I also think that we as older fans perhaps have to be, kind of careful not to fall completely back on nostalgia. As a Yu Yu Hakusho fan, I initially was reluctant to watch Hunter x Hunter, and I ended up loving it. So, it kind of goes both ways.
Yeah, right. And we don't want to like take that away from you or tell you that that's invalid or anything like that. Like, if that's your thing and you love the anime, then go for it, enjoy it.
And for our anime recaps, I think Sam's been doing a very good job with it. I think with us, Ed and myself in particular, when we were hosting it, it's just, I think it was just doing it every single week for 7 years, kind of wears on you at some point.
Having to host it every week. And like, I still do come on most weeks now, but I don't have to. It makes me enjoy it a lot more, I think.
Same here. And
yeah, I think feeling like it's an obligation was starting to wear on me. And that's why I finally just gave it up, because I wasn't enjoying the feeling of having to do anything. Like, oh, this thing that I enjoy, and then suddenly an anime episode airs, and I have this weird feeling in my gut, like, oh, I guess I better watch that show that was on last night or something. And I'd rather have the feeling that I have with the manga, where it's like, I can't wait to read the next chapter.
Well,
that's why I marathon.
Especially because the anime tends to be material you read 2 years ago, or a year ago.
Yeah.
This is all new.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem I have is just kind of the inconsistency, where it'll kind of pick me up and drop me a lot, where it's kind of like, I'll see, it'll have like it won't even be like a good episode and then a bad episode. It'll be like a good scene or a good sequence, and then something that, it's not even just the quality of animation, but like the choices for pacing and things like that just are less than perfect in my opinion. And the manga in a lot of ways is exactly what I want out of One Piece now. And so it was kind of a hard decision, but I finally decided to just kind of like stop watching the anime because it was kind of aggravating me. But like, I don't think that everyone should stop watching it and it should disappear. I think that people should enjoy it if they enjoy it, but I've had enough, kind of.
I mean,
number one.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe. Oh, please.
The number one thing is, if you see someone criticizing anime, don't take it personally. I used to do that because I really enjoy it a lot. You can talk to me or Sam or other people on Twitter. A lot of us really do like it. But we all have our issues with it. But if you hear someone criticize something that maybe you agree with, or maybe something you really like in the show, don't take it as an attack against you and your taste. Everyone likes different things. And sometimes, the soundtrack and the voice acting for you makes it so superb to me that I can overlook animation, and some people can't, and that's fine. So it's just, some people prefer the manga, some people watch the anime. You just kind of gotta let it go and enjoy what you like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Jill put that very well, so we should probably move on.
Okay. Grim Pyro wants to know, do you think Big Mom and Dr. Vegapunk were working together at any point to create objects with devil fruit powers? If not, what are your opinions on how Vegapunk does it?
I don't think so, because...
Yeah, we haven't seen any evidence that they have.
Also, Big Mom, there was a fork in the road. She could have been with the government, but she didn't.
Right.
So, the Vegapunk, as far as I know, has pretty much been with the government for a long time. So, I don't know. That's just how I feel.
Yeah. As far as how Vegapunk does it, I'm assuming this means like feeding objects, or how that interfacing works. I don't know. I feel like clearly the fruit itself is just a vessel, and I feel like Oda will have some kind of probably pretty concise kind of mumbo jumbo explanation of what exactly the devil fruit powers are, if they're like some ancient souls of the people who came before or something like that, or whether it ties into some kind of backstory, ancient history of the One Piece world, or not. I don't know, but I feel like it'll probably just come down to some kind of mumbo jumbo explanation that Oda says, because it does. It just works that way. So I don't know. Let's see. Hatem H again. What do you think of the theory that Strussen's devil fruit is actually in his knife and that Sanji might take it away from him? That would be fantastic. But some people say that the ability of making objects eat devil fruits was something that happened after Strussen and Big Mom met.
Well, it's a Vegapunk thing.
Right.
The objects. Although...
Be funny if true, though. I like that.
Baroque Works had,
unlikely.
But
I feel like that's cheating.
They had Mr. Four's cannon dog, right?
Right.
So it's
And
possible.
Spandam's elephant sword.
Well, that, I mean, is government related. I was trying to think of a non-government related one. But yes, that is always a fun. Funkfried is always a great mention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's next?
Let's see. We do have a lot of questions about Strussen and his turning the island into food. Let's see. Kushibish says, does the devil fruit reveal or confirm how Whole Cake Island was turned into a cake and how all the other islands became food? And also, I'm trying to find the purpose behind Cavendish's arc that would affect the story in the future other than his own origin. I think Oda is trying to tell us he is very popular. In the future, he would have many fans that as allies would help him support Luffy.
Well, it could be Reverie related too, since he was royalty. He was royalty in a kingdom.
Yeah, I feel like if the cover arc, the Straw Hat Fleet stuff is leading up to the Reverie, then whatever it is, it's going to be bad. Like, because we know they're going to cause some incident, and in the future, that's what the Oda box said.
Do we think it's Reverie related, that incident, or do you think it's going to happen way down the line?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. If it is Reverie related, then it's probably going to be bad, not good. I don't know. But
well, bad for the people at the Reverie, good for probably the reader if that's the case, or just bad in general. Who knows? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, see, I'm imagining some like Vivi and Shirahoshi and what's his name from Drum Island, the Sakura Kingdom
Wapple?
Are all gonna
Dalton.
they're all gonna argue for Luffy's sake, and then Luffy's crew just comes in like, don't you dare wage war against Luffy, and then they just like pillage the entire thing, and all the other kings are just like, no, we must stop him.
This sounds like a Curb episode for some reason. I think there's Luffy has a lot more allies than that. I mean, I think at one point, maybe toward the end of this arc, we should do like a Reverie kind of tally where we think everyone is and who we know is going to be there and who we don't know. And I mean, I don't know, at some point, something like that. Because I think there's a lot of people that have been touched in some way by the Straw Hats who are gonna, and there's a lot of people who've negatively been influenced, Wapple being an example there. So I'm sure the Straw Hats, especially after whatever's going to happen here, are going to be a big topic of conversation.
As for the title arc, I think Oda's just cushioning the blow for Cavendish when he does really badly in the popularity poll.
He's still got all his fans. So as far as the Strussen Devil Fruit, I'm going to add on to that. I'm going to read this other one, Swordmaster 21, who says, I can see how Strussen could have made the island in the food, but how do you think the weather and even the sea also became food? Do you think any of the homies may potentially be people turned into living food instead of food animated by Big Mom? I don't know about that one.
He turned a cloud into food, and then it rained. So, like, if he made syrup clouds, I don't know. He could still do that, right?
Maybe at like some point it just became its own self-functioning ecosystem.
Oh, like a syrup lake evaporates and becomes
a syrup rain.
I like that.
Syrup rain.
No, chocolate rain works too.
That's also true. What's next?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Strussen very loosely explains why everything is food, but it does kind of require his powers to be either extremely powerful or they would have had to have been amplified somehow by Big Mom in some way. But Alice W90 has some questions about the homies. How much do homies actually remember from their previous owner? How did the first homie, the sunflower, appear? Did that one come from Big Mom and the rest are from other people? Are there homies from the kids she ate? Also, are Cavendish's groupies also considered part of the Grand Fleet? And I would say all of these are good questions that I have no answer to.
Yeah. I mean, I think the soul power is like, it's just like a resource. It's like gasoline. Like, it's just energy. I don't think it has any memory.
It's very
that's
malleable.
That's my read of it as far as the homies go. Like, I think when you get into like, are these characters created through her soul powers, that gets a little trickier. But as far as the homie stuff, that's my read on the situation. Let's see. Anime Lover 1491 says, as of this latest chapter with the giant checking in on the House of Lambs, I was wondering, is Elbaf really that close? Even with an eternal log pose, he wouldn't really be able to go long distance on those dangerous seas, as the other captain says by himself. So do you think Elbaf is much closer than we previously thought?
I mean, we don't know, if these more sophisticated nations don't have lots of eternal poses, but it would make more sense if it was closer.
I forgot to also mention that I reread Little Garden this past week because, why the hell not? Which every time I read it, I enjoy more, especially in retrospect with what's going on here. And I posted this on my Twitter account, but at some point they're like, well, the only eternal pose we have here is for Elbaf, but Luffy's like, no, we're not looking to go there right now. And I'm like, you could have just skipped everything and got in there so quick. Could have skipped over.
They weren't ready to beat an emperor.
No, they were not. And they're still not, apparently. And so, but at the same time, it's just kind of interesting, the geography and how much it's unclear how much Oda's even thought about it, especially at that point. This point maybe a little bit more, I would assume.
Yeah, this may not be an answer that people want to hear, but as far as like the eternal log post stuff, like in terms of a story structure, that is a system, that it's a tool that Oda employs in order to kind of provide a direction for what happens next with the Straw Hats. Like when it needs to be like, oh, well, you can't just immediately sail to this next island. Something bad has to happen first, or, there's some obstacle in the way that will, kind of structure how the story moves forward. That's when he uses it. But you'll notice like that he really hand waves a lot of that stuff away when that isn't really important to the story.
When's the last time we've had an eternal pose?
I mean, we got a return to the log pose, like when we got to the New World with all the multiple needles and stuff like that. But again, that was more just like kind of setting up a reason for why we're going to this one as opposed to another one. And you never hear him talk about log poses in regards to any other characters who are not the Straw Hats, because it's just not that important. It's not something that he needs to explain. He doesn't need to give you receipts for every single character sailing the seas as to how they get from here to there.
Says you.
Yeah, says me. I am the voice of Oda in English, so there you go.
So those would be sales receipts then, right?
Yeah. So let's see. Gunther C. Perk 97 says, I want Semla.
Now
I kind of do too.
I do too. I looked it up where in New York City I could get Semla, and I went to a place. I did this. This happened, and they didn't have any. And I'm like, Semla.
So you killed everybody.
I killed everyone.
Oh God.
Everyone.
Oh God, Zach, why?
And then I ate them, but I don't remember that part.
Is this going to be the new thing out of New York? It's like first it was the Cronut, and next
now
the Semla.
Oh, we could do this. One Piece fans in New York. That's demand Semla.
A new craze is sweeping the nation.
I'm not condoning any violence or cannibalism. Just want to say that. There's no sarcasm to that. I am serious. What's next?
All right. My favorite Hyperbolably says, question for Steve. What's been the most difficult reveals to keep under wraps? Should we be watching out for suspiciously silent Steve when theories are getting tossed around? Yeah, well, let's see. We'll have to ask Steve the next time he's on about what kind of advanced material he has.
Maybe he's talking about one of the shows he's worked on, or maybe.
He doesn't talk about those very much at all.
No, he doesn't.
Suspiciously silent.
I think Steve will be on next week, so we could ask him.
All right. Funning around. He's obviously talking about me, Steven. I do go by Steve, but not on the podcast.
Wait, you seriously go by
What?
Steve? This is
people call me Steve or Steven. It's fine either way.
I refuse to ever call you Steve.
I wouldn't expect it. It's just too confusing.
I mean, not even for that reason. I can. It's too late.
Yeah, sometimes I do hold my tongue just because I don't want to tip things either way. But sometimes, I don't know either way, and I just enjoy listening. So you'll never really know. I try not to be too coy about these things, but every once in a while, if I feel like it's obscure enough that no one will figure it out before it actually gets around, then I will offer some sly hints, but nothing this week. Let's see.
I was pestering this guy for Battle Angel Alita tips for months to see if anybody had been licensing it, and he was a stone wall.
Yeah. Oh boy. I'm still knee deep in that. I got another month or so to go until I'm done with it. Yeah, it's really good. Anyways, back to the piece together. Fierce Alchemist says, how do you see these upcoming fights breaking out? I can't imagine a full fight between Luffy and Big Mom would be quick, yet we already know we're getting Reverie and Wano later this year. How is Oda going to wrap up Whole Cake Island in just a few months? At this point, I am kind of skeptical about getting to Wano later this year.
I think we've always been a little skeptical about that.
I mean, I've never
land
thought
on Wano in the final chapter of the year or something.
I think 888 is what I predicted should be around the final chapter of the year. So that's still, what are we up to? 868. So we got 20 chapters. I think it's possible. Depends how long the Reverie stuff is. I mean,
yeah, I've always been under the mind that the Reverie will be short. Some people disagree with that, but yeah, I think it'll be kind of a mini arc, like maybe 5 chapters.
I think 5 chapters is long, even for something that doesn't involve
the
Straw Hats.
Right.
In a different place, and
Yeah.
I think 5 chapters would be a lot for something like that. I think as fans, we'd all love the hell out of it, but.
Mm-hmm.
And also, these predictions by Oda and I think now his former editor, these things are never set in stone, and we gotta chill with that. I think we mentioned that when the news originally came out. Like, these are just speculative in the most speculative of ways.
It tells you his overall plans about what he thinks the length of the arc will be, but he still has to write these chapters out one by one, and we know that he avoids plotting everything out to extreme detail because he himself wants to be surprised by the little things that happen in each and every chapter as he gets to them. So it's easy to see how that sort of thing would either get out of hand or just end up taking longer than he originally thought. Jojo Hunter says, does Zach have a 12-pack? And if so, is that the One Piece?
Doesn't have black. He doesn't have a 12-pack. He's got a black belt though.
Yeah. They require you to have a 12-pack and the One Piece for that, though.
Yeah.
No is the answer to both of those.
Black belt and karate tati.
No, that's okay. No.
All right, let's see. Since this has apparently been a sub-theme of the Reddit this week, last question from Shadow Khan. Did Vegapunk try to reverse engineer the Devil Fruit out of Kuma by turning him into an inanimate object? He already forward engineered the Zoans into animate objects. Inanimate, not having the qualities associated with active living organisms. I'm not really sure what this is asking.
Does the current Kuma not have devil fruit powers?
Yeah, is he just copying it so that somebody else could have the paw fruit, I guess?
But I mean,
Kuma does, but the pacifistas don't, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Kuma is just a riddle wrapped in a
Yeah.
mystery, wrapped in an enigma, or whatever the hell the saying is. It's
Yeah.
who the hell knows with him
Yeah.
Inside a Vegapunk box.
inside a Vegapunk box, which is way more complicated than a Pandora's box. I think that does it, right? For
That's
Reddit?
it for Reddit. Yeah.
So Ed, it's time to
Please the tweet.
suddenly got the idea that we should at some point just put your voice saying "Peace the tweet" into Big Mom's mouth when in the anime she's yelling for whatever.
Or it could be like this. One of our first tweets this week is from Daniel Vennard, who posts a picture of delicious semla and a handmade Big Mom sign on top of a megaphone with it.
That's amazing.
It looks great. I've just retweeted it. Anyway, it's awesome. Next one comes from Spooky L, who says, "Do you think first map Buggy found in this flashback is One Piece or Lost Land?" All right, guys, good luck with that one.
I don't even see that one, so I'm. clearly
It's from a day ago. Is he referring to Captain John's map? Like, does Buggy have other maps?
Did you find a map in a flashback?
First
what
map
flashbacks
was
has Buggy been in?
Oh, here I see. it. Do you think the first map Bucky found in the flashback is the one? I don't remember. Oh, I guess he must have found a map at the very beginning with Shanks. I think that's true. He did find a map at the.
Oh,
very
and he was
beginning.
gonna dive and get something, but he couldn't
Yeah.
swim.
Yeah,
It
Yeah,
probably is.
it's definitely not
Probably
the.
is a map of the One Piece.
That would be amazing. Oh yeah, it was right overboard. I could have gotten it, but damn
Yeah,
it.
he found the map, aka in like Roger's like safe or something.
The one thing we know about Buggy is he just wants any treasure he could find. He doesn't really care as long as it's like jewels or he is the most traditional pirate when it comes to the greed of just wanting fortune. So
I would have figured that the map that he got was the one that he was following when they wound up in like the construction tunnel back in volume 25 or so. And they were like sneaking around, and then the guy turns the lights on and he's like, "Hey guys, what's up? You come here to work the shift?" That's what I always assumed.
All right, this one comes from the Polecat, aka Zach and Ed's love child.
yeah, that's what it says.
Yep, that's what it says.
Ed, I had no idea that
Oh my God.
our love child finally got their own Twitter account. I mean, how does time pass?
Drew, this isn't funny. Next one. No,
You're
he
gonna ask
actually
the
does have-
question?
He actually does have a question. Do you think Big Mom has ever left Whole Cake Island? Also, will Caesar get a fight? The first question, I think, yeah, based on her like crushing the head of that king in this week's chapter.
No, it
Seems
could have
like
been the same island. I mean,
It could have been, but
Or
it
any
seems-
of the surrounding ones, considering she has
that's true.
Sutherland.
She has
Yeah, but when did those actually when did those start though? You know, when did she start making those islands?
who the hell knows? I mean,
Yeah.
it's possible she's never left her territory. I still like the idea that she's never left that island. I like the Arrested Development idea that she just doesn't.
I mean, this is One Piece. It's not What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
The burger bar, Big Mom. The burger bar.
All right. Also, does anyone have opinions on Caesar getting a fight?
Caesar did get a fight, and Luffy kicked his ass.
Good times.
How about this? Is he gonna hold on to Brûlée, or do you think he's gonna dump that bag?
A2
She might be
Brûlée?
useful still. She might be useful.
Yeah.
A2 Caesar?
I like Caesar as like just a complete failure. I don't want him fighting or being cool. I think he's beautiful just the way he is.
No, I want him fighting. I just want his ass to get kicked.
It's very Venture Brothers.
Caesar won't fight, but Gastino.
That's true. Gastino is a whole separate character.
He's got gloves and
and
They all
more
are gloves,
hair,
never mind.
and he doesn't have those horns. He's a completely different person.
yeah,
And
he's got Dragon Ball Z hair. He's ready to fight.
now all it needs to do is go blonde. Ed,
Yeah.
what's next?
Or blue, or black. There's many
Red.
different colors these days.
Well,
Yeah,
already,
it could
it's
go
already
blue
black.
like a gas fire. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Or red. There's also red, right? Or rosé, whatever that other one is.
Rosé.
Rosé.
Rose gold.
All right. Our very own Brian, Dark King Zoro, sends in a GIF of the rock biter
I'm sorry, what did
from
you just
A
Never.
call?
GIF. He meant a GIF.
A GIF.
A GIF of the rock biter from Neverending Story, which really does look a lot like the Big Father.
I definitely thought of that guy when I saw the Big Father for the first time.
Hasn't he made other references to that in the past, or am I mistaken?
I don't know.
Might be mistaken.
I mean, this would be an appropriate chapter to make a reference to it. All right, like this arc.
I think any chapter in One Piece is an appropriate time to make a joke about the Neverending Story.
Oh, well, you guys haven't seen next week's cover chapter where Cavendish loses Ferrule to a swamp.
Oh no.
Finally.
Watch that movie. It's a great
Call
movie.
my name.
All right, there's a few more questions here. Stacy Chen asks, "It's great how Capone's a castle positioned as a rook. How fitting. Would you think there are more chess-themed devil fruits?"
I would like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've liked the chess theming in this arc in general, and I'm kind of sad we haven't seen more of it. I think there's a lot of potential here. Maybe we will. I don't know.
Can you imagine being stuck with the pawn fruit?
Oh, but if you get to the end of the board, you get to become the queen.
Mhm.
Oh.
So even Cobb's fruit.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Next one comes from Matt Nolan, who says, "I'm trying to decide which I want to see more: a Vinsmoke Zorg fight, Big Mom. A Vinsmoke Zorg fight, Big Mom, or Big Dad." Like,
Volcano Las Dos.
yeah, I mean, the big three-way fight, triple threat.
I don't like how you put that.
It's a wrestling club. Look it up.
Sure it
Maybe
is.
don't
Sure.
actually.
Sure. No, don't look it up, guys.
You have to explain it to your wife.
I was just trying to tell my kids. I forgot to mention the Vinsmoke wild card kind of thing. That is still something that's kind of hanging in the air at the moment. I'm curious how that's gonna play in next week, if at all. Ed,
I hope something happens from it, because at the moment it's heading towards being the most disappointing part of this arc. But
Yeah,
Mm.
we have
Vinsmokes
Sentai
are-
fighters. We need
Yeah.
to.
They need to fight. Like, they can't just sit around being sad sacks.
I mean,
sad.
they totally can, and they have been. So,
They're sitting around like piles
how
of dirty
lame would
laundry
that
at this
be?
party.
well, Yonji
Anyway.
will always suck no matter what he does. I mean, in multiple ways. Go ahead.
All right, Chadrick asks, "Where would you rank the Big Mom pirates with the other antagonist groups overall?" I guess
ranking episode.
that is a good
Yeah.
ranking episode.
Well,
Like,
we did
opponent-
do that. It was the Goons of Inconsequence.
That's right.
Uh, is it too early to say, Steven? What do you think? To put them in the Goons of Inconsequence at this point?
Just by the variety of designs, they are already pretty high up there.
They just haven't done a
Yeah.
lot yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends on how big of a role they play, which honestly, I am not positive that they will have a huge role, at least in terms of screen time, so to speak. Just because this is this is a major arc on an accelerated schedule, the way that Oda tells it. So I don't know how likely that is, but I really like the designs and stuff for the most part.
I think that
there-
panel in this week's chapter where they're all coming Reservoir Dog style to
Mhm.
kick some ass. I think they have a ton of potential. I don't know how much that potential is going to be used, but I really like them so far. Ed?
Yeah. And finally, from our very own Chow, I guess he's asking about the translation of the Big Daddy. It says, "Did Bedge spend too much time in Whole Cake Island that he started speaking German?"
And also, Mother
I mean,
Carmel spoke German. It's kind of
yeah,
a weird connection,
They-
2 chapters in a row there.
It's the fairy tale theme.
It's just because of
guess
that
so,
episode
yeah.
it's that episode of The Simpsons, The Land of Chocolate. The Germans,
That's true.
they're from the land of chocolate.
German chocolate.
But there's no other particular reason for it to be that way, is there?
I don't think so. No,
Okay.
I mean, I think it's just Oda gets on a kick, and maybe he's been looking up lots of German words lately or something.
I also want to mention, since we're at the end of the piece, the tweet, I believe.
Yes.
We actually have been getting phone calls, but the problem is the new version of Skype or whatever it is has made it very difficult for me to try and record those to put them on the air. So I will try and figure out those technical difficulties. As you may recall, some time ago we had those issues with phone calls. Unfortunately, as hardware updates, it just becomes more difficult to do that kind of stuff. I've also had, since might as well mention at this part, a lot of requests for Discord. I am an old person, so it's been just something I've been trying to wrap my head around. If you are interested in a One Piece podcast Discord account, please let us know. I think that will be something we're setting up. I just want to see if there's also sufficient interest out there, so please let us know about that. I think that's going to do it for our Piece Together segment. Are you ready to get out of here?
All right.
Same to you.
Back at you.
Oh, God damn it.
あの大空に届くまで I believe 一つの明日
This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 473 for June 12th, 2017. Really fun show today, you guys. Every chapter is just this unexpected, wild curveball. I was going to say wild ball, but that's not a thing in baseball, is it?
It's right up there with the full blurn.
I love Blurm's ball. Anyway, thank you all for coming on this week. Next week, we will be back. There's another chapter. No break, knock on wood, in the future, as far as we know. I'm sure there will be another one at some point, but as of now, we're looking good. And that's going to be for chapter 869, so I'm sure we'll have some joke there. We also have our latest anime recap, Piece Together, and a lot more. We will hopefully be having some special guests coming in the next month or two as we get into our summer One Piece podcast episodes, so look forward to that. But first, I want to thank all our guests who are here today. First, Casey, where can people find you?
You can find me at Manovsky Article on Twitter. And since I did some comic recommendations last week, I'll do a couple more this time. It being Pride Month, a few great LGBT-themed manga and comics have come out. So I'd recommend My Brother's Husband by Gengaro Tagame, My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness by Nagata Kabi, and my favorite thing is Monsters by Emil Ferris. They're all really beautifully done comics that handle lesbian and gay issues very sensitively. So I recommend those highly.
I was looking for My Brother's Husband at Kino. They must have sold out. I know the creator was there and signing copies at some point a few weeks back or months back. But I'll keep a lookout.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be great.
It's doing quite well. I mean, they got Alison Bechdel and Anderson Cooper out to blurb that one.
Oh yeah,
so
I forgot they got Anderson Cooper to blurb that. That's a big get.
For sure.
Yeah.
Great book.
Yes. Joey, where can people find you?
They can follow me on Twitter at Joey Weiser or joeywiser.tumblr.com for updates about what I'm doing comics-wise. I'm the author of an all-ages graphic novel series called Merman. 1 through 5 are available now in hardcover, and some are out in softcover with more on the way, and they're all available digitally as well. So please check that out. If you'd like to see me in person, I'll be at Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina, this upcoming weekend, June 16th through 18th. And then the next weekend, I'll be in Chicago at the American Library Association show. That's the 23rd through the 26th. So, so I would love to, I love running into One Piece podcast listeners. So come and see me. And finally, I would also like you to listen to my monthly Japanese movie podcast, Toho Yaro, that I do with Alex, who's on this very show often, and our friend Scott. This month, Alex will be hosting an episode about Lady Snowblood, which is very cool, and he actually teased on Twitter today that he has some ideas about a possible One Piece connection, which is interesting. And yeah, so please follow Toho Yara on Twitter as well, and subscribe on iTunes and all that.
And just specifically, it was a possible inspiration for Dope Flamingo, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Jill.
You can find me at Piratess on Luck on Twitter and most other platforms. You can also find me at Anime Expo this year. I'm going to be probably cosplaying Big Mom, Konus, and Manchuri, if all goes well.
Those are three very different characters.
I know. I'm having fun with just kind of learning new cosplay techniques as I go through and make lesser cosplayed characters. So yeah, if you see me there, feel free to stop by, say hello. I'm always good talking to One Piece fans. Yeah.
I haven't been to a con in so long that just the idea of Whole Cake Island cosplay is extremely exciting to me. The thing is, I've been going to cons a lot less often, since I've been working full time. And so every year I get to see this just like all new cosplay every time. Ed, you're also going to be at Anime Expo this year, right?
That is correct, yeah. I'll be there with Jill and Steve, and I'm also going to some wrestling shows out in Los Angeles, too. So if you're going to those, say hi.
Steven, have you decided whether you'll be able to attend?
I probably will not.
Oh, what is wrong with you?
I will be at Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con. That is in July, late July. And I believe we do have our panel, although I don't think they have announced scheduling stuff because they're still figuring out who is actually going to be there. But I believe we do have our panel about manga translation, so that'll be fun as
Gotta
usual.
get you to New York Comic Con one of these days, which is a nuts convention, which I'm sure I'm positive San Diego is as well. Steven, where can people find you?
Yeah, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I can be found at Translatosaurus. As Casey mentioned earlier in the episode, I am kind of knee deep in getting through the original Battle Angel Alita series, which I believe they've actually started selling digital copies of through Comixology now, although they are committed to a hardcover, an omnibus hardcover release later this year. So, I guess choose your version, but I do believe some of those are starting to get out now. And yeah, I think I'll be working on that through the end of July, and I'll be very happy to be done with it just because it's been crazy for my schedule, but it's super cool. I read it back in the day in the late 90s, early 2000s with the original release from Viz, and going back and revisiting it, I was actually really surprised to see how good it is, how well it holds up. Really great series. So check that out.
Check out all the series that Steven works on.
Yeah.
We should post a list of that at some point. I know it's probably on like ANN or something at this point.
An incomplete list, but yeah, I am in the encyclopedia there.
Ed, where can people find us?
Well, you are Zach_Logan on Twitter. I am Edward E. Festizio. The podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. Leave us some piece together at reddit.com/r/OnePiecePodcast. And you can subscribe on Google Play, subscribe on SoundCloud, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. It's going to take a while to get used to.
Or call us on every week. We've been trying to get used to it.
Yep. Or call us on our phone number, Zach.
That phone number is 347-497-MAJI.
Maji.
That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
With your questions, your comments, and theories. And as Ed, I believe, mentioned, you can subscribe to us on Patreon at patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. I was supposed to get that exclusive episode out last week, but as Ed mentioned earlier on the show, my 12-pack and black belt exam kind of hindered my time last week, so we'll have that out this week for all the Patreon listeners. We just recorded some stuff for this episode as well, so we'll throw that on. So we will be back next week with a new manga recap, new anime recap, and a lot more. But until then, my name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
We'll see you next week, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right.
Back at ya.
Back at ya.
I hate all of you.
Kirby, right back at you.